Hi, I'm Ian Gordon along with Dennis Pitzenbarger and Nick Miles. Thanks for joining us this week for Fuel. Nick, what's on this week's show?
On this week's show, we're going to have two behind the wheels, the Suzuki XL-7 along with the all-new Lincoln Navigator. And then we're going to visit with Ty from Baxter Auto Parts to do some spring cleaning.
And it all starts right now.
Welcome back to the Fuel Show. Still to come, Fuel News, our second behind the wheel, the all-new Lincoln Navigator, and Ty from Baxter Auto Parts is going to show us how to do some car spring cleaning. Our first behind the wheel is the Suzuki XL-7. Now, the Suzuki XL-7 first hit the streets in 2001. It was kind of like a stretched out Grand Vitara, but it was the cheapest SUV on the streets with a third row of seats. The second generation debuted at the New York Auto Show last year, and it's made along with the Chevy Equinox and the Pontiac Torrent in Ontario, Canada. Here's Dennis and Ian with a first look at the 2007 Suzuki XL-7.
The first category for the new Suzuki XL-7 is Q Factor, the gadget or tech score. And for what you would expect out of a Suzuki, this thing's off the charts.
Well, sure, you could take all the standard equipment, power windows, power door locks, all those type of items there, cruise control, air conditioning, but really, what really takes the cake, it's a Suzuki with standard one-touch remote start. I mean, I don't know of any other vehicle in this price range that you can reach out the window and bam, remote start your car. It totally blew me away that you found that kind of feature in a vehicle at this price point. Now you could talk about ABS brakes and all the little safety items they have. It is a fully complete loaded vehicle in its base trim, and I mean that by the regular power options. Now you can get leather and you can get power seats and heated seats if you'd like, but overall it's that one-touch remote start that blows me away, and to see it in a Suzuki.
It's a cool feature, plus it's got the great DVD system as an option. 4 for Q Factor for the Suzuki XL-7. On to curb appeal for the new Suzuki XL-7, and I saw this the first time when it was called the Equinox.
I think you're being unfair. It's better looking than the Equinox, and again, here I am saying this stuff about Suzuki. I'm not knocking Suzuki, I love it. I'd love to have a GSX-R 1000, but that'd be a motorcycle. Hey, listen, when you're looking at these vehicles, you don't get too much in this price range that really differentiates itself from another vehicle within the lineup. This vehicle is sharp looking, nice angular lines. It has a nice flowing idea that goes from the front to the back of the vehicle. Nice headlights. I think I'm going to mark that as probably the one thing that stands out. It has this real aggressive front fascia that makes it look like it's angry, like it's kind of pointed down or sneering at you.
Yeah, it definitely is kind of a beefed up, manned up version of the Suzuki XL-7 of past. So for that alone, we'll give it 3.5 for curb appeal. Performance is the next category for the Suzuki XL-7, and power is provided by a 3.6 liter dual overhead cam V6, and I think it's adequate power.
Adequate.
Adequate.
252 horsepower, 243 pounds-feet of torque is just adequate. You don't have nearly that in two of your little Ford Focuses. Hey, listen, it's a great driving vehicle. You're talking about a shiftable 5-speed automatic transmission, has fully independent suspension, McPherson struts in the front, multi-leak in the rear, and it does have a limited slip differential in the back, so you can't put all the power on the ground. The nice thing about the way the Suzuki is put together and the performance of this vehicle is the chassis. It feels very solid. Though it's a shared platform with a couple other vehicles, they've done a good job of making it feel as if it's connected to the road. And I think that has a lot to do with just good engineering and good thought through. When you're talking about giving someone a multi-use vehicle, you have to look at it from the aspect of how it drives on the street, how it drives on the freeway, and how it'll handle off the road. And I think it does all of those well.
Yeah, I think its drivability is definitely its strength. That when you take 5 passengers or the average family and drive it around, it's fine. It's when you load it with the 7 passengers that it needs more horsepower.
You're being too picky.
I am. Let's do 3.25 for performance for the Suzuki XL-7. Fit and finish is the next category for the Suzuki XL-7, and if power is any suggestion, like we did in the last segment, fit and finish is also up for Suzuki as well.
And I think you made good points. I mean, I believe that the way that this vehicle is put together can really show the future for Suzuki as an auto manufacturer. They've already come in with some really inexpensive baseline vehicles. Now they're starting to move upscale. When you move upscale with a vehicle lineup, you have to be able to make it that much better. People expect it, and it's under a little bit more scrutiny than, say, a Mercedes-Benz, where they just kind of assume the quality is there. They've done a great job of putting it together, and for me, I was impressed. When you shut the doors, when you slam the rear lift gate, it feels as if it's put together.
It's all the neat little accents as well, like the wood trim and the soft touch leather inside. Just beautifully put together. 3.75 for fit and finish for the Suzuki XL-7. Drivability is the final category for the Suzuki XL-7, and you put in the suspension that Dennis talked about, the great engineering, the build quality, the fit and finish, and just kind of the fun that this thing is to drive as a small SUV. We've got it rated high.
Well, sure, when you look at the price point for this vehicle, I mean, you can get into them in the mid-20s, fully loaded with all the goodies, including that remote start I talked about earlier in the show. You're talking about a vehicle around 30 grand. There's not a lot you can go out and buy for 30 grand these days in a sport utility that has all the amenities you're looking for, especially to get little extras like that and the DVD system. Overall, drivability's got to be high for me.
Yeah, you drop the third row and drop the second row. You have 95 cubic feet of storage room as well. So overall, very useful. 4 for drivability.
Let's see how Dennis and Ian scored the 2007 Suzuki XL-7. For Q-Factor, the tech or gadget score, they gave it a 4.0. In curb appeal, a 3.5. In performance, what's under the hood, a 3.25. And fit and finish, a 3.75. Finally, for drivability, the overall usefulness of a vehicle, they gave it a 4.0. The total score for the 2007 Suzuki XL-7 was 18.5 out of a possible 25. We still have our second behind the wheel, the 2007 Lincoln Navigator. Ty from Baxter Auto Parts is going to show us how to spring clean a vehicle, and when fuel returns, we'll have fuel news.